Trey
Hensley.
Taylor guitars.
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 This guitar is hitting the floor. It's hitting the fucking floor.
This is fucked.
That's how you want it, like that.
I guess so, right?
I feel like when they stage toss and stuff like that, but I'll do it however you feel comfortable.
Go.
Ready?
Yes. This is it. The guitar is here. We've all been waiting. The aplomb, the glamour, everything. It's over. It's here. Johnny, show that guitar.
Ooh,
Now, stay tuned. We're not just talking about guitar. There's a special thing coming up, an interview
An interview.
with Trey himself.
That's true.
And you.
Me.
How was that interview? Was it fun?
It was delightful.
We're talking about this new guitar here. We're gonna have our thoughts afterwards, but we wanted to give you a little introduction. So click like, subscribe,
Hit the bell.
sit back and enjoy.
Trey Hensley, how are you, my friend?
Doing great, man. How about you?
I'm doing good, dude. Well, you probably have no reason to know who I am, but I see you on the old internet all the time, just shredding guitar and playing amazingly. So it's good to talk to you.
Yeah, man. Great to talk to y'all too.
Yeah, dude. So we got some a new Taylor model coming out with your name on it. So we're gonna talk about that, but hopefully we're gonna talk about all sorts of stuff. So for some of our viewers and stuff, most of them probably know who you are. Like I said, I think you're making some pretty good waves as a player everybody follows, especially in the social media world. But you're a Tennessee boy, right? You grew up in Tennessee?
I am, yeah. East Tennessee, out in Johnson City area.
And then out of Nashville now?
No, I'm still in Johnson City. I lived
Still
in
in Johnson
Nashville. I lived there for about 10 years, and then me and my family moved back here. My family and my wife's family are all from here, so
awesome, man.
It's Tennessee's a big state, but we're close enough to Nashville to
that's right.
not have to be in the heart of it.
But you've been doing this a long time, right? You started playing pretty young. I think I saw that you played in the Grand Ole Opry with Marty Stewart when you were like 11 years old.
I did, yeah. Yep, sure did. I started playing the year before that. I started playing when I was 10. And, I met Marty out in East Tennessee at this Appalachian Fair out here. He's playing just a big show out at the fairgrounds. And met him out there. Before his show, I had a big felt guitar case and wanted him to sign it. And I was always been a huge Marty Stewart fan. And so, it's funny because at the time I knew like 3 songs or something.
Right.
And they were all Carter family tunes. My first intro into bluegrass was through Flat and Scruggs records, listening to them with my granddad. And but there was one Carter family album that they did that Earl played a lot of guitar on that record, and I had learned a lot of these Earl guitar parts from that album, and it's kind of one of those just happenstance moments where when I was back there, Marty signed my case, and then my dad was just kind of like, my son would love to play a song for you, and totally put me on the spot. And so anyway, Marty was gracious and kind and let me play him a song while he was signing other people's autographs.
Right.
And then he just kind of turned around and listened to me, play. And then he wanted to know if I could play another tune for him, and I did. And he got me up that night to play on the show, and then immediately asked if I would do the Opry. And then, the night at the Opry, he had invited Earl Scruggs, unbeknownst to me. I just got there, and Earl was there, and we all got to hang and play on the show that night and became friends with Earl. And so that's a lot of these people that I still work with and know to this day. I met through Earl Scruggs when I was 11 or 12.
Man, that's kind of amazing. So was your whole family bluegrass musicians, or just listened and fans, or?
Yeah, fans. My dad did play banjo. He's a car mechanic, and so I think it was just a time constraint thing, you know,
Right.
just get home and didn't feel like playing. But I do remember he could play a couple songs, you know, Cripple Creek and Old Home Place, or Old Home Sweet Home, and you know, Foggy Mountain Breakdown, all the kind of standard banjo tunes. And then at a certain point, I just kind of put it up and sold it, and that was it, you know. And that was probably when I was 4 or 5. But I spent a lot of time around my granddad, who had a big record collection.
Cool.
And so there's a lot of Doc Watson and you know, Flatt and Scruggs, and a lot of traditional country. So, you know, Merle Haggard and George Jones and Hank Williams and all that stuff. So it was a pretty musical upbringing, even though there wasn't instruments around, you know.
That's pretty awesome, man. It seems like all the bluegrass guys, I'm not really, that was never like a part of my childhood growing up. You know what I mean? So I love it, appreciate it, but most of the guys I know who are amazing bluegrass players, seems like they got into it early, and they're like historians. Like, they know about it. They're sort of into that. There's like a whole culture and world, you know, and like a weird family tree, which I kind of find fascinating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, it's just really cool. So I mean, so you started when you were 10, and then played with Marty when you were 11, and then after that, did it take off, or was there like a big, like, sort of that was your motivation and you just worked crazy hard, or like were you in it? Was it go from there?
It was a little bit of both. I mean, like, I started, it obviously that helped a lot of things for, you know, I mean, me getting shows and stuff like that.
Sure.
But I was still 11, you know, so there's only so much entertaining. You know, it's like, looking back on it, it was, you know, I'm not so sure, but obviously I got to do a lot of cool things because of that, you know. I got to work with Johnny Cash not long after that, and
wow.
And you know, met all these great people because of that. You know, I got to open for Doc Watson a year later and get to play with him, and got to open for Jimmy Martin, and you know, all these sort of doors that just happened because of the Opry spot and because of Marty Stewart's sort of stamp of approval, and Earl, because I became friends with Earl. And, you know, got to go over to his house and hang out and you know, play shows with him. And but, yeah, and then obviously that sort of solidified me wanting to do this. I mean, I already wanted to do it. I would have, and I would have, you know, I'd have continued playing guitar no matter what happened. It just immediately, I was bit by the bug immediately. And that
was it, right?
But it did solidify this as sort of like a profession, I guess, and or something to aspire to be a profession, you know.
Now, how long from there until you actually make the move to Nashville?
It was a while. So I guess, you know, it's probably 10 years, something like that. I'd been obviously worked in Nashville quite a bit. And then, you know, I'm out where I'm from is sort of the far eastern part of Tennessee.
Right.
And so it's wildly different than Middle Tennessee, same state, but, you know, 4.5 hours away. And but my wife and I had talked about it for a while, and I guess so I met Rob Ikes through a Blue Highway session that I sang on, and so he was very influential in talking me into moving to Nashville, you know, and so we started working together when I moved to town, and you know, that duo, we just sort of wrapped it up, and it's, you know, been going on for 10 years now, and so I guess it's, you know, been a little over 10 years since I moved to Nashville, and we were there, I guess, about 8 years.
Are you doing much session stuff, or mostly like the touring thing probably takes up most of your time?
Yeah, I don't have time, and I used to do quite a bit of it, especially when I moved to town. And that was one of the things. It's like, I love it, and it's great, and I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful anybody wanted me to be on their album, but it is a time consuming thing, and it just, you know, it's I have a tendency to say yes to just about anything. When you're in this business, you sort of you're taught at an early age, say
just
yes.
do it. Don't say
just
no,
do
right?
It. Yeah, because
don't say no.
You know, you don't know. It's the old adage: never turn down a sandwich in the music business.
Fair enough.
But having said that, it just eats up a lot of time, and so I as much as I love it, I kind of just wanted to focus on my own thing.
Well, let's talk about guitars. So, one of the things I notice when I see you on social media stuff is, a lot of times I think bluegrass and I think a very specific guitar, and a very specific model of guitar, right? Or at least shape. But I see you playing like Resonators and old Gibsons, and Martin is the one a lot of people think about. I guess.
Yeah.
How did you end up? Like your relationship with Taylor, like have you played Taylor guitars a long time? I know I'm older than you, but when I was young and starting to play, like in the late '90s, Taylors were like they were like the pinnacle for me. I was just kind of blown away by them. They were really hitting their popularity, but I still knew bluegrass guys who were like Martin or die.
Yeah.
So talk us through that a little bit.
Well, they're not prevalent in the bluegrass world. They're just not. And, so when I would go to jams as a kid, I don't think I ever really saw a Taylor or played a Taylor. And I had an old 50-40 28, and I still have that guitar and love it. But I got that not long after I started playing. It belonged to a family friend.
Cool.
And, was able to get that. And I think my relationship with Taylor started, I was looking for a guitar to plug in.
Yeah.
And so 2013, I guess, was when I moved to Nashville. And probably right around that time, when I started working with Rob, I was like, I want to plug in my guitar. And when I would take my old Martin out, it was just really ornery. Like I would take it to California, and the old guitars don't want to go anywhere, and they most certainly don't want to be plugged in. I put a pickup in it, and it sounds terrible.
Horrible.
And, it's just it doesn't want to pick up in it, and it
Well,
doesn't want to go anywhere.
I mean, that's a little funny. Like some of the purists don't want that either, right? They want the microphone.
Yeah.
And
I'm of the mindset of there's a very like Tony Rice is the greatest in my opinion, and Doc Watson another one. If I had to give two spots to the greatest, they would have to fight it out. But if there's a clear comparison, there's a couple videos of Doc and Tony playing together, maybe at Merle Fest, and of course Doc was an early champion of plugging in, and this was kind of before the technology was great, and so it was very, very quacky. But he would plug in, and there was this clear difference when Doc would play. You could hear every note, and then when Tony would go to play, you're fighting a microphone in an open air situation with a big dreadnought boomy bassy guitar.
Right.
The combination is pretty tough. It's you're fighting an uphill battle, and I love having a guitar that sounds good enough to where if I have to use a mic, it's perfect. But if I can plug in, and that pursuit sort of happened with Taylor, where I was just trying to figure out what guitar sounds great plugged in. And honestly, like I said, I'd never played one before, and so I went to the showroom, and I ended up getting a 510, and I loved that guitar and played it, plugged in with the expression system for a while. And then I started getting into like bags pickups and with microphones in them.
Right.
And so it wasn't long after that I'd met Andy Powers, and of course we're similar sort of backgrounds. I mean, it's a little slightly different, but he's into the Doc Watson stuff as well, and definitely has a grass sort of background, and which I thought was very interesting because again, you don't necessarily put the two together.
Sure.
And so around that time he was working on the Grand Pacific, and so I have a prototype of that guitar. And loved it, and then I ended up really digging the Grand Pacifics. I guess it was, I heard a video of the first gold labels. So whenever that, it must have been last year, the sort of mini jumbo size.
Yep.
And I was really intrigued by them, even though that's not my typical like body shape, body style guitar, I wanted to try one out. And I could definitely hear there was some magic stuff happening with them when I got the one I played. And then, of course, Andy was telling me about the talks of a gold label Grand Pacific, which I already loved the first iteration and was excited about that. And honestly, that guitar just blew my mind. Like it became my main guitar, which is again, it's not. I don't think I've ever had a main guitar. Like I would just bring different things out on the road.
Sure.
And that was it. And so after several months of I probably played 50 shows on that guitar, and everything I did was on that guitar. We were talking about possibly doing a signature model of that one. And it was just tough because I don't have any changes. I don't have any suggestions I can say, well, I'd like to have this different. It's a perfect guitar, And then somebody just said a square shoulder. And immediately the bells were going off because that like you mentioned, I mean, there's already an expectation of what can do bluegrass, and most of the time it's a square shoulder guitar. Yeah. And just, visually I love the square shoulders, but also that just little extra guitar gives it a little bit more bass response. Right. It gives it a little bit more oomph and a little bit more power. And so I was like, yeah, let's do that. And so Andy sent me a prototype, and that guitar was just I played it all the time. And then the only thing we changed from that is because it's a natural top. We just talked about different finishes, and I love this sort of antique blonde finish that Andy came up with, and it was really important to me to put. I would be excited about this guitar whether it had my name on it or not. And I would want to play this guitar every night whether it had my name on it or not. And that's something with this music especially, you can't, the organicness of it, you can't hide. And so if the guitar doesn't absolutely crush it, then it's not going to be a good thing. And this guitar just crushes it, So I'm thrilled about it.
Man, it's a killer guitar. I've got it, one of the first 100 right here, which they've got the cool COAs and all that stuff. I mean, it's just, and we all the guys at the shop, obviously we were Taylor fans, but we all thought when the gold label and the legacy stuff came out, we were like, man, this is killer. We were probably more excited about that than we had been for anything in a while. And even this shape coming back, for a while it was the Grand Pacific, which I love those too.
Yeah, they're great.
But there was no 10 just your standard sort of dreadnought, right? So it was cool to see this come back. Now this one's got the torrefied top, right? It's got the mahogany back and sides. Which bag's pickup is in this thing?
It's an Anthem SL.
Cool.
And
awesome.
That's the one after years of I've Frankensteined quite a few guitars. It's trying to figure out what works for me. And I met Lloyd at a certain point, and I love he's got the new hi-fi duet, and that thing sounds amazing. For me personally, I'm so used to the Anthem SL. I've used it for the last 8 years, and I just know if I take this guitar and I don't have my set, I don't have my pedal board, which is not. Everything on my pedal board is pretty much just noises that I can have fun with. But I don't have to EQ it. I can plug it straight into the board and get a great sound. And that's important. It's also important to me to have a good sounding guitar with that Anthem SL because it is a microphone. And if the guitar doesn't sound great, the pickup's not going to sound great.
It's not going to sound good. And
this guitar luckily sounds amazing. So I was excited that we could use the Anthem SL in it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it really does, man. And, it's not just a bluegrass. I mean, it'll do anything. It sounds phenomenal no matter what. So, dude, congratulations. I mean, it's got to be cool to have a signature guitar anyways, right? It's got to be guitar players' dreams.
It's way cool. And it's cool to me just because there's a lot of different layers of it. It's just a cool looking guitar.
It is, yeah.
I mean, it's like I said, I would be excited about it. I would play this guitar every night on every show. And, I just finished up a solo record. And, when you go in to record, most times you just bring everything. You bring, 10, as many guitars as you own, you bring them all and see what sounds best on each song, which is a fun part of it. And I did that for my record. I brought, almost everything I own and filled the studio up, and I went back, to my gold label every time, and I recorded that whole record on that. There's one song that I wrote on a mule resonator.
Yep.
And
those are killer guitars too.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
It's, that one's another one. It's like I'll play that guitar a lot because it's so inspirational, and
right.
And I wrote, like I said, I wrote this song on it, and so I played that song on that guitar.
Right.
And then, but obviously that's a resonator. That's its own thing.
A different thing,
and
yeah.
It's a different thing. Everything else was a gold label, the prototype for this guitar, and this one, obviously sounds exactly like it, just with a different finish on it. So, I'm super super excited about it.
Whew! That was a rodeo of fun, wasn't it?
Like I said, it was delightful.
It's like a can of beans with a little bit of extra spice inside of it, like a hot dog, like a full hot dog, or a hot dog in those little Skittles tubes. You ever done that to your kids?
No.
So you get the little M&M's tubes and you put like a hot dog in there instead, and you hand it to them. They go like this, and they get hot dogged.
My kids take hot dogs very seriously, so we can't do that in my house. We're very serious hot dog connoisseurs.
Sorry, I didn't know that was the case.
Elijah could probably rank every hot dog in like the 3 counties around us. Tell you where the best ones are.
Is he a pink hot dog lover?
Yes.
Because I like the pink hot dogs too.
Yeah, no.
My wife is freaked out by them because that's a North Carolina thing.
It is in North Carolina.
And I think they're fantastic.
They are not good for you, but they're great. They taste
Trey, thank you.
Yes.
Also, our dear friends at Taylor Guitars, Jordan, Jay, all you guys, like Aaron, guess we'll say thanks to you too. Don, our favorite Taylor person in the history of Taylor Guitars.
We do love Donnie Rod.
He might be as important as Bob and Kurt.
He's right there. Right there.
Us.
It's right there.
No, but seriously, all you guys, it's a lot of fun. It's easy doing these things. It's a blast. We like most of you, except for that one guy that sort of stares at us in the corner meanly. Oh yeah, back to the video. Hope you like the guitar. These are awesome. It is. My thoughts on this real quickly too is like, now you watch the whole thing. I look at this as getting like a custom shop Taylor.
Yeah.
Because it's a great guitar, but you're getting this custom spray on it. If you were to do that in the BTO or the custom program there, it's going to cost way more. Get this guitar. It's fantastic.
It's a killer guitar.
If
a bluegrass machine, but it'll do all sort of stuff.
A bluegrass killing machine.
A bluegrass killing machine.
They were going to call it the Killing Floor gold label, but they changed it to the Trey Hensley model, I think, instead. That's my guess. I don't know. That's why I don't work at Taylor Guitars or anywhere with the human resources department. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you guys next time around the loop. Yeehaw! Take us out, Trey.
So we got to do something. The interview didn't work out, so I'm just gonna have you read the transcript real quick.
Okay, that tracks. I saw the footage got corrupted, so let's do this. Trey Hensley, how are you, my friend? I'm doing good, dude. Well, you probably have no reason to know who I am, but I see you on the old internet all the time. Just saying, ha ha ha. Doing great, man. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, great to talk to you all too. So, we got some news. Taylor model coming out of your